Boys and girls, this is the magic door to the wonderful magic toy shop.
Now is a good time to switch it and you.
Hello, I'm Ron Curtis.
Hafner's Red Barn, like it used to be.
Goldberg's, the money saver.
The Bebop Shop, Liverpool, where music is still fun.
Oh, Duncan O'Bright, oh, Duncan O'Bright, oh, Duncan O'Bright, oh, Duncan O'Bright.
It's happening now at Pin Can Mall.
Well, hello there, bloody buddies. This is your old pal, Baron Damon, for the Syracuse Nostalgia Podcast.
Hello, welcome to Syracuse Nostalgia Podcast. This is episode 8, and I have a new co-host for this episode. I just met him recently. Seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
It's my brother, John. How are you, John?
Hey, how you doing? I'm all right. Good.
All right. Thanks for joining me here.
Yeah.
I thought it would be fun to talk about the area where we grew up. We grew up in the North Syracuse area, Maxwell Ave-ish.
Yes.
Yes.
Route 11.
I thought it'd be fun because they're.
Yeah, well, Maxwell. Well, wait, we should have that out.
Yeah, I'll censor that.
All right, never mind.
And
I don't want to bother my parents. So.
But I found out there's a lot of fun places just in walking distance.
I didn't know how specific you wanted to be into that. So.
Well,
Yes.
Maxwell Ave is
like for instance.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, you could go right down the road was Pudgy's.
Well, all I had was a bicycle, and that's all you needed, because everything was within a mile of the house, which was nice.
I didn't have that. I just walked.
Well, even better for you. It's maybe why we're such strapping young lads now, huh?
Yeah, really.
But yeah, Pudgy's was my favorite, of course. I lived there at Pudgy's.
Didn't they have a Kiss Pimmel machine? Do you remember?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay, well, they had a Pimmel machine.
They did have a... Yes, they did.
I thought it was a Kiss one at one point.
No, I think that was you who had that.
Oh. Yeah, I get those two confused.
Yeah,
Pudgy's
no, you were the one. Yeah.
A lot, yeah. Oh.
No, Pudgy's was awesome. The sheet pizza. Frank, one time... My best friend Frank. Can I say last names? Should I say it? You don't
yeah.
Okay, Frank. Well, I didn't know how if we have legal issues, if Frank needs to sign a legal document.
If Frank's going to sue us, then don't say his name.
Well, you never know with him. But one time, my buddy Frank and I think we were like 10 or 11 years old. We got a sheet pizza, and because we had nothing else to do.
Watch your language too.
I'll try.
Oh, did you say sheet or?
I said sheet. Yes, sheet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
No, the pizza was anything but sheet. It was great pizza actually for the price too. Okay, so we're 12 years old. I don't know how we got this sheet pizza. 32 slices. The thing was enormous, and I don't know how we got it home on our bikes, but we must have. I think we were riding side by side on bikes, carrying the box.
That'd be a funny picture.
And we told each other we're going to kill this whole pizza. We hadn't ate all day, and we were hefty little kids back then. We had a few more pounds on me than I do now. But anyways, and his older cousin came home, and he's a funny guy. He's an old comedian. He used to play with Bobcat Goldthwait, Tom Kenny, and all those guys. Yeah, he used to play, but he was also a partier. So he woke up or came over, and he was all hungover, and he shows up. His name was David, and he goes, "Guys, you got some pizza? Can I have some?" We're like, "Wait, we had a pact. We're supposed to kill this, and nobody can interfere with our." Yeah, well, he took 2 slices, took off. So Frank and I, our greatest accomplishment ever was eating 30 slices of pizza by ourselves, 2 12-year-old kids. So there you go. That's my Pudgy's story. Very impressive. Yeah, Pudgy's. There you go.
Well, I remember the jukebox they had. I used to play the Kiss song "Heaven's on Fire," back with "Lonely as the Hunter."
Okay.
That was like on a loop whenever we went there.
It was an old 45, like an old jukebox, right?
Yeah,
45, right?
Records.
Yeah, that's right.
And I
you don't see those anymore.
Used to have the cardboard things on the table that would advertise cheese.
Yes, the 100% real cheese.
Yeah. It's a cue for one of your stories.
Oh, well, thank you for setting that up. What a smooth segue.
Yeah,
you're good at this. Well, yeah. Well, a couple years later, I got into a band, and my guitar player, Brian Mann, I should say I was his bass player because Brian Mann is awesome. And we were sitting there having our slice of pizza, and we were waiting for it to come out. We placed our order, and we were just sitting there bored. And Brian was a very quiet and shy guy when we were like 16, 17. Wouldn't say a lot, which made him a little mysterious and kind of sexy, too, if I must admit. But so he's just sitting there, and I'm like, yeah, we're waiting for the pizza, waiting. It seemed like it took forever. So you're just warming up a slice for us. And Brian, just without saying a word, didn't miss a beat, grabbed that little triangular-shaped, 100% real cheese table tent thingy they had on the table and stuck it on his face and just sat there for about 5 minutes.
It stuck.
And it fit perfect with his face, and it looked like a beak, you know? Yeah. And he just didn't move. He looked a little bit out the window, he looked around. Customers are walking by, and he didn't flinch. I'm dying, by the way. I'm losing it, you know. And this long-haired little kid with braces is wearing a beak. And I said, dude, you got a cheese beak. It's got 100% cheese on it, you know? So boom, that's where Manslaughter has a novelty song called Cheese Beak. So that's where that came from. It was Pudgy's. But it was the funniest. I can still see him today when we're in that studio. Isn't that so? Patty remembers this.
Yes.
We'll talk
it's on the.
But yes, it was so funny. I couldn't. Yeah, it was.
The song was on the Manslaughter, your album, right? Or cassette?
Yeah, our first demo. Yeah.
Cheese Beak.
What's that? Cheese Beak. As a matter of fact, Cheese Beak. What's the? God, now I'm drawing blanks here. The pressure's on. The Sunday night show with Dave Frasino. Soundcheck. Yes. Our friends in Sacred Death. I know we're getting a little off North Syracuse, but our friends in Sacred Death, we had different friends in different bands would play there from time to time, and Sacred Death was playing. We played a lot of shows with those guys back in the day. And they said, hey guys, they were so cool. They allowed you to play. Dave allowed the bands to bring in their demos and cassettes and stuff to play 2 or 3 songs. He allowed each one 2 or 3 songs per episode or whatever. But he's like, hey, we're going to sacrifice one of our songs. We're going to throw one of yours in there. We asked him if it was okay. Yeah. And I'm like, well, that's super nice of you guys. You don't have to do that. You know, you can play your own stuff. They're like, oh. So I said, here's our demo. Here's our 5-song demo. You guys pick the song. So here I am a week or 2 later listening to it on 95X. And they decided to play Cheese Beak. Of all songs.
It's like the novelty song.
It's the novelty song, which sounds like crazy 58 seconds of hardcore punk rock, which probably scared a lot of listeners off at the time.
It's like if you're picking a Kiss song and you pick "I Was Made for Loving You" instead of one of their older cool songs.
Yeah, or you pick a cover song, you know, and then she kissed me. Yeah, that's not a Kiss song, but okay.
It's not really a good representation of Manslaughter, probably, but
Tops was right next door to Pudgy's.
Yeah, then that Plaza, which I'm not sure what's there now.
I don't know what it is now. I have no idea. It's one of those plazas that keep flipping businesses all the time, and they never. But you were telling me a story about how you used to get hassled going in there.
Yeah, even at 10 or 12 years old, there would always be people selling drugs right out in the front of Tops.
I missed that whole thing.
Yeah.
I only remember going in there once or twice for Mom. Mom would make me go down because it was just like 10 feet away from the house to get a loaf of Italian bread. I'll never forget that. That's the only time I remember ever going in there.
And you didn't come home with any...
I didn't come home with any funny smelling stuff or anything.
It was almost like that Sesame Street character with a trench coat. It's like, hey, would you like to buy an O?
A letter M?
Yeah.
Really? So maybe that's why they went out of business so quickly.
Could be. Also, they had those plastic things that you wrap up your bread bags with. Remember those things? And then the little plastic pieces, and you break off an end, and then you can flick them with your finger at your friends in school.
I don't remember that.
Oh, now they have the twist ties, so you can't do that. But it was like it's a hard plastic piece, and you wrap it.
And you wonder why you don't have many friends.
Well, it was a thing. People would go in and grab handfuls of them because they were weapons.
Oh,
you
really?
Take them to school and flick them at your friends.
No, I don't remember that. I'm glad I missed that. Yeah. What's it? We do that with guitar picks. We kind of do that with
Also, across the street from Tops was Vecchio's.
That was awesome.
With the scary guys that worked there.
Well, the guys were cool. The Vecchios, Joe.
They scared me. I don't know about you.
Well, when I was a little kid, they were a little intimidating because the dad, I think Joe Sr., he was they're old school Italian guys, and they were like very, very loud and intimidating. Like they were not, but they were friendly guys. But like as for little kids, you walking in there, like they'd yell at you. Hey son, what do you want? It's like, you'd be like, oh, I'm just here for a candy bar. It kind of startled me a little bit, but. But Joe and then the son took over after that. But the thing that scared me, not so much about was those guys, but was the couple of neighborhood bullies that used to bully me in school used to hang out at Vecchio's.
Oh,
so if I went over there to get a candy bar, Mom would give me $1 or something to get, and it wasn't fun. It was if I saw them, I kind of took the long way around. And if they were there hanging out, I went home and I never got my candy bar because they the kids that would bully me on the bus. But it is what it is. But that's the thing of Vecchio's. I love going there, but I'd have to beware of these 2 or 3 guys that like to just pick on,
They would always ask me because to me it was like almost like an adult store because all they had was beer and dirty magazines.
Dirty magazines. Oh yeah.
And then at 10 years old, that's what they would like. The guys in there would tease me like, "Hey, you want some beer?" And I'm 10. I'm like, "No." But
that was cool though. Vecchio's is cool. It's still there, but it's not Vecchio's.
But when I got older, I became friends with them, and our father was was friends with those guys too.
Yeah.
With, what's his name?
Magic.
Magic.
He had a bunch of convenience stores around town. They bought it off of the Vecchios, I think.
Yeah, now it's something else.
And then, of course, literally, it's like a four corners. The other corner was Twin Trees, which is awesome pizza. Maybe not your favorite, but I love Twin Trees. No real stories about Twin Trees, except for one time I got a garlic pizza, and then for an appetizer I got garlic bread. And I don't think I ever, by mistake, I wasn't thinking. I went with an ex-girlfriend, right?
Yeah, but she appreciated your breath after.
No, we didn't. There wasn't any hanky-panky after that. I'll tell you, I stunk like garlic. So I'll never make it. Don't ever get garlic on garlic. Don't. That's just a little piece of advice if you're with your girlfriend. So
I was trying to. Do you remember what was there before Twin Trees? Because I remember that being built. Like
you do? Really? I don't remember that.
When I think I was in middle school or something, that was being built.
It must have been another restaurant, but I don't remember.
I don't know if it was housing or another restaurant.
No, I think it was another restaurant. Well, I don't remember it being built, but I remember that it's been around for a long time, 35 some odd years. Twin Trees has. So whatever it was before that.
I'm not that old. So.
Well, I saw an old picture Mom had of it in the background. And it looked like a restaurant, some kind of restaurant.
Oh, okay.
Because there was a lot of cars parked outside, so it was something like it. Maybe it was like a drive-in, a hamburger joint or something. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. That's a good question. Should have did more research on that.
Should have did more research.
Did more.
But you remember the blocks? Remember it's like a cement blocks, but some of them stick out. It's like a weird design on the wall of Twin Trees.
I don't remember that.
I mean, it's still like that now, but there's like a. Okay, well,
yeah, I know what you're saying.
There's bricks, but then some of them stick out. Well, when it was being built, some friends of mine, I think maybe Jeff, used to would climb up those bricks, and like stayed on the roof that wasn't really built yet. So
really, I'm surprised he didn't get. Well, I was going to say.
Well, he did get he got hollered at.
Well, I was just going to say that reminded me of a story. I was sitting out front with a couple of friends, just sitting there, just lounging around, and somebody came out. We didn't even know anybody was inside. It was dark. The guy screamed at me to get it. Quit loitering. Now, as a kid, I didn't even know what loitering was. But apparently, wow, that's weird. I hadn't thought of that.
I mean, it came out of Twin Trees?
Came out of Twin Trees.
Oh, wow.
So somebody, a cook or the owner or somebody says, you kids, get out of here and quit your...
Get off my lawn!
Get off my lawn is what he was... Like,
nice.
Sorry. Still like the pizza, though. Boy, he scared the hell out of us. He opened the door, yelled, his head, we're like, holy jeez. We literally jumped, got on our bikes, and took off like we robbed a bank. It's like, what the heck? We're just sitting here. We didn't do anything wrong. But anyways, so that's that.
Well, anyway, so that was the area.
That's like the four corners right there, pretty much.
That's all you need, really. But if you want to go like another block, you can go to Big Dip.
Mm-hmm.
Get yourself an ice cream.
Which rules still.
That's still my favorite ice cream.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know. It seemed like
chocolate on chocolate.
All the cool kids used to hang out there. It seemed like as well.
Yeah.
Remember the stupid drawings on the side of the Big Dip building? The little cartoon drawings.
The cartoon ice cream.
There's like Betty Butternuts and like.
Oh yeah, it was like
Chip Cherry or whatever the hell.
Bobby Banana Float or something.
Yeah.
Something.
Yes.
Split, Billy's Banana Split, something weird like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would stare at those and eat the ice cream in the car. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's good stuff. The ice cream, not the art.
Are they? Do you know what the Big
Where's
Dip?
your sound effects? We need some sound effects.
I have it my timer.
All right, never mind. No, we're fine. We're fine.
Right. The Big Dip, the ice cream cone itself, it used to be all vanilla, the one on top of the building.
Well, it's a swirl now, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
If you remember,
what happened to those big orange round balls that used to go around in a circle like hypnotize you? Remember that out front? You could see it like a mile down the road. They did away with those. I think people had seizures or something looking at those. Right?
No,
those were so cool because they would screw with your eyes and they would.
That's how you knew Big Dip was open if they were spinning.
Right,
Big Dip was open.
But they just went away one day, and it's like I don't know
why.
Well,
I asked one of the employees, and they said a delivery truck backed into it and knocked the pole over one day, so they just left it down.
Speaking of the pole, that's a good segue, but we're not there yet.
Oh, yeah.
The pole.
That is a good...
It's another pole that got knocked down that I'm really disappointed about. We'll get to that later. But anyhow.
But then,
you take a U-turn, you go about a mile the other way, you got Penn Can Mall. Or if you keep going up the road, you had Main Street School, which was awesome, because I used to play... Before I became a rock guy and lost interest in my health, I used to play soccer there with a bunch of friends.
Soccer?
Behind Main Street School.
Really? Well, even when school was not in
session? Yeah, even when school was out. Yeah, you get together with a handful of friends, and there's such a big field back there, right next to the graveyard, which was another... Yeah. They put an elementary school right next to a graveyard.
The playground is next to the
playground. You literally could see the headstones while you were playing.
That was
that was weird.
A lot of ghost stories from some of the bullies at school.
Yeah, it never bothered me. That's maybe why it was just a strange, I don't know.
I hated gym class so much. I was just surprised people played sports on purpose. So I'm surprised that you used to play the soccer.
Well, I'm not. Well, this is when I was like 8, 9 years old too, 7, 8, 9. It was just fun. It was soccer. We just kicked the ball around. It wasn't like I really knew what I was doing.
Is that still when they had the whole the big smiley face slide and stuff like that?
Yeah, when I had now that's down at it had that old metallic, rusty. You could probably get sick if you cut your finger and got slid down that slide or
the motor inn or something on South Bay Road.
Yeah, that's right. It got moved down the road a little bit, but yeah, that's when I had all those old.
What was that thing called that spun around? Where like maybe 5 or 10 people could stand on it, and the whole thing you could spin it around.
The vomitorium.
I don't think that was the official name.
No, that wasn't the official name. But that made me. I didn't.
Nobody ever knows.
I didn't go on that very often, so I don't know. I know what you're talking about. I have no idea what it's called. But it always made me sick to my stomach. So stay away
me too.
From that. Yeah.
And then if the kids got going real fast, like the other kids would just fly off at this is a big word, centrifugal force.
Damn.
Yeah.
Don't bleep that out because that's a well-placed damn. Right?
Oh, I thought you said don't beep out centrifugal.
No, I was impressed by your big words.
No, damn's okay.
You ain't going to get more than 2 or 3 syllables out of me, so.
It's like gymnasium, it's a big word.
Okay. So then you got Penn Can Mall.
Well.
Which I don't even think you really need to go too far in the Penn Can Mall, but.
Well, the last.
Except for I met just about all my friends there. And that was my social life probably for about 6, 7, 8 years until my social life revolved around albinos and the Lost. So that's, So
you went from hanging out to Penn Can Mall and then then you graduated.
Once I got my license, then Penn Can Mall was kind of dying out. Then I moved to the north side. So
we actually did a Penn Can Mall segment 2 shows ago, but actually I thought a funny story was first time you met Brian Mann from Manslaughter was at Penn Can, right?
Oh yeah, it was Halloween, and everyone went to, for some reason. Yeah, it was Halloween, and I knew him from school, but I never talked to him because he was so shy. But anyways, we go to everybody, like all the young kids, and even like teenagers, all went to the mall for some reason, because I guess he had nothing else to do, right? And it's the late 70s, early 80s or whatever, and everyone was dressed up for Halloween. So me and some friends went as the rock dudes, right? So we brought our guitars, our cheap guitars. Probably tied a bandana around my ass or something. I don't know, but whatever. We just went with our old denim jackets and something. I don't know. We probably look ridiculous. We probably look like rejects from a Bon Jovi video or something. Their satin pants or whatever.
You thinking like 15 years old, 16?
No, something like that. Somewhere around there. We weren't quite as bad as I'm exaggerating a little bit, but we did go there. Yeah, it's probably 15, 16, something like that. And we go there, and I had my guitar.
You brought guitars to the mall?
I don't even think. Yeah, we walked. It was like a half a mile away, so I strapped on. We're walking down South Bay Road with our guitars. Cars are honking and beeping at us. I remember I loved my guitar. It was like it cost $50, but it looked like that. It looked like Ace Frehley's old Sunburst, right? That's why I thought it was so cool. Les Paul Sunburst. So I get to the mall, we're hanging out, and everybody, we think we're cool because we're the rock dudes. Everyone else is dressed like bunny rabbits and, and nurses or maids or and like, I don't know, just different things, different animals, right?
All right, yeah.
So I see Brian Mann. He comes right up to me. He looked at my guitar and I said, "Hey, Brian," and I didn't even know if he knew my name. And he pointed at my guitar. He was like a mute. He didn't talk. And I go, "You want?" I go, "Here, check it out." And I gave it to him. He grabs it, puts it over, the straps it down to his knees because he's a lot shorter than me. And he jumped on up where the clock was, around the base of the clock, just probably about 2 feet high where you could sit. And he started doing his Angus Young impersonation around the clock with my guitar.
That's pretty funny.
You imagine that? And then he came and he gave me. Well, I mean, you walk in the mall and you see this long-haired kid with braces doing his Angus Young. I mean, full-on Angus Young. The head banging, the foot, the leg movements, the whole 9 yards. With
nobody
guitar,
no music. Nobody played.
It's like him and his brother came there or something. I think it was Jeff. I'm not sure though, but. No, there was no music going. He was just there guitaring and nothing. And it was like, I'm like, I don't know, we're all just hanging out and waiting for the mall cops to come and kick us out.
Yeah,
but
really.
they never did. And when he was done, in typical Brian form, he just handed me back the guitar and he walked away. He didn't say a word. So it was just like, okay, well, nice talking to you there,
That's
buddy.
Funny.
About a year later, we were in a band. But
they had to do the sound of the clock. Remember the chimes?
Oh, that, yeah, could be. That's about all that was going on. It was just, yeah. Yeah, that place was great. Actually, that's a year later. We were there and we met the Catatonics, and that was how we got our first show. Manslaughter got our first show. Was at Penn K Mall, and we met the Bellevue K and Jeff Jakes from the Catatonics. And now imagine these two full-blown early '80s hardcore punk rock dudes walking through the mall, and I'm talking, they look like they just stepped out of GBH. I mean, these guys were Mohawks. And Patti remembers Bellevue, and he went off to join 7 Seconds. This was their farewell show. Not to get too far into the weeds with this, but that's where we got our first show. And I remember we were scared little metalheads sitting there, Brian and I and Jeff Mann, and they came to meet us because they wanted to hear our demo tape because they wanted to put us on the show. And they were one of the only bands, because back then punk rock bands played, hardcore bands and metal bands played, or hard rock bands played, and nobody ever played together. Like, they didn't like each other. We didn't
Never
like
the twain shall meet.
No, it was like almost like forbidden. You could not have, a metal band with a punk rock band. You just couldn't, because you would either get beat up or they'd throw stuff at you. Well, it was not fun. Now it's all different, but. So these guys were cool enough, and they said, yeah, you're playing that new kind of thrashy metal stuff, right? You're not like playing, like a hard rock like Foghat or something. You guys are playing this new, like that Metallica stuff. That
new stuff.
That new heavy, fast, I go, yeah, so we gave them our demo, but when we met them, these guys were so intimidating. They looked like 20 feet tall, and the Mohawks were even taller, and we were pretty much, I'm trying to keep it clean because I almost slipped, but we were crapping our pants, really.
Don't say pants.
Yeah, I was going to say sheet pizza. Yes, we were sheeting our pants. So, so anyhow, but that's how we got our first gig, was at Penn Cam Mall. So that's a very fond memory. And
was that at the...
I remember after they left, Brian and I just looked at each other and went, holy crap, what have we gotten ourselves into?
So that was at the schoolhouse in Cicero, that show?
No, that was at the American Legion.
American Legion, that's what I mean.
It's on Salina, I believe, I think. State Street. The American Legion at State Street.
Oh, I thought your first one was at that old schoolhouse.
That was our second one with Sacred Path. Yeah.
All right.
But anyways, so yeah, Penn Cam Mall has a couple of.
Well, anyway, I think I'm going to go to take a break here, right. And our special guest on the show, I think you'll enjoy. She's worked at the Lost Horizon for many, many years, and she can give us some of the inside scoop of how things worked and what kind of bands she worked with and all sorts of stuff.
I got a list of some bands she worked with, and it's pretty incredible. I didn't know some of these.
Oh.
All right, if you want, I'll just start rattling off bands throughohout the interview, and you guys, you two don't even have to talk.
You can start during the commercial.
You can just listen to me talk the whole time if you want.
Okay, we'll be back. We'll be back in a minute.
All right.
These are the times, the very best times. These are the good times you'll remember every day. These are the times for feeling sunshine, time for friends and fun, with Pudgy's good time pizza and subs. Today's the time, this is the right time. Now is the moment to keep good times rolling on. Today was made for all the good things that you know and love, like Pudgy's good time pizza and subs. These are the times, the Pudgy's feeling good times. Pudgy's good time pizza and subs. These are the times, Pudgy's feeling good times. Pudgy's good time pizza and subs.
Hey, welcome back to Syracuse Nostalgia Podcast. This is episode 8. The topic today is Lost Horizon. I don't know why my voice cracked there. It's Lost Horizon. And we have my co-host, my brother here, John. He's in Manslaughter and some other goofy bands that used to play Lost Horizon a lot.
Silly bands, yes.
And also my special guest is Patti Gonyea. I said that correctly.
Otherwise known as Lost Horizon Patti.
Lost Horizon Patti. Yeah, everybody knows her.
Everyone knows Patti from the Lost.
She was there for a good 10, 15 years.
Almost pretty much from the beginning, I would think. I mean, at least where my memory goes. My first memory of the Lost. Can I jump right in? Or are you done with the introductions? We're done. Right?
I am.
So I can jump right. See, I'm talking already, guys.
Yeah.
Was 1980.
Just give her a chance to talk sometimes.
I will. I'll let Patti. Just kick me if you want to say so. My first time I was ever at the Lost was 1983 when I was like 14 or 15. It was for Twisted Sister's You Can't Stop Rock and Roll tour.
Right.
Now, how did I get in there? Well, one of my friends, his father, knew Greg Italiano. So he took us down, and we were so hot on Twisted Sister. You know, that video just came out on Night Flight of all things. They didn't even have Headbangers Ball back then.
Can't Stop Rock and Roll.
Can't Stop Rock and Roll. We're like, holy crap! I got to see these guys. They're coming to Lost. We met them at 95 Acts that day. Anyways, our buddy said, my dad knows the owner of that place. Maybe we can get in. So sure enough, he did. I remember walking in, being scared, really nervous. Never been in a bar before. It was dark. It was a little dingy. Tons of older people drunk. You know, you could smoke at the bar then, too. So it was filled with smoke, and all you could smell was booze and cigarettes. And his father talked to Greg Italiano for a second, and they said a couple of words. He took us to a seat, and he told us, he goes, you three boys sit right here and don't move. And he each got us a Coke, like a soda. Not a rum and Coke, but regular. And we watched Twisted Sister, and it was the first time I was ever at the Lost.
Cool.
It blew my mind. I was right in front of Mark the Animal Mendoza. It was awesome. Oh, my God.
They were concerned about age back then, because as far as I knew, I was in there 14, 15, nobody cared.
Well, this was 83, too, so this was before really that big wave of local bands started coming in there, I think. I mean, there were other bands that played, but they weren't like us. They weren't 15, 16, 17, 18. Right. I think, but so we just talked and said, "Hey, these are my boys. Just let them sit there, and all they want to do is see this band, and that's it."
Did D. Snyder yell at people for not dancing or clapping? And
oh, he was every song he's yelling. He's yelling about something.
I thought he. I told me he went to the bar and was yelling at people.
Oh, I don't remember that, but that's D's rap. You know, he always gives people stuff.
Sheet pizza.
Sheet. Yes, he gives them sheet. I'm gonna end up swearing, so you're gonna have to, and I know Patty's gonna throw an F word out there one of these times. But so anyways, then my band didn't play until about 85. That was the first time. But
was Patti there when you first
yes.
played?
When did you start there, Patti? You said, was it 85-ish? 84?
Yeah,
I think that's what your resume said.
85-ish. Yeah.
Did you want to tell that story real quick about the first time you went there with your that old lady friend of yours?
Okay, so. It started off at the old barn in Inlet, New York. My parents owned that.
So this is way past Old Forge, up to that area. Right?
Yep. I grew up there as a kid, cleaning up beer cans in the parking lot.
Then
when I was like 10, cleaning the parking lot, then cooking chicken wings. Then I was a cocktail waitress. Then it was tending bar. But that's where I met Todd Holben, Alex Starr. 805.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Memorial Day to Labor Day, packed, nonstop. Huge, great fun.
Big summer bar.
Yep. Yeah. And then this older lady, Faithy, had a camp on Limekiln Lake right up the street from the old barn. And she said, I live right across the street from the Lost Horizon in Syracuse. I said, wow. I've heard about that place on WOUR. And
oh, yeah.
They have Marshall Tucker Band there. And
that's right.
I'd love to go there sometime. So I went to Faithy's house one weekend, and we walked across the street to the Lost Horizon and went in. There was no neon lights outside or anything. We walk in, the side door. We go up to the bar, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, Esh. There's Chris So from the New York Flyers. There's Greeley Ford from Mr. Ed. I'm like, wow, I said, the six-pack. What are all these famous people doing?
Six-pack was there already.
Oh, was he already?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was already pretending bar, huh? Yeah.
I go, what are all these famous people doing here? And he said, this is Dave Porter's stag party. So I look around. Dave Porter from 805.
Oh, okay.
I look around. There's no other girls. There ain't no strippers or anything. It's just these famous band people.
But they're all guys. So you're like the only you.
Yeah, but I was like I was in L.A. or something. But I'm in Syracuse, and I'm seeing these famous people that used to come to the Adirondacks.
That's awesome.
And so, got chatting with Greg Italiano. Oh, I'll give you a job. So, he gave me a job. I started working weekends as a cocktail waitress. And then, next thing you know...
The very next weekend. So you didn't know Greg or anybody before. That was the first time you ever walked in?
First time I ever walked in there. And I told them where I was from, and at that time they were changing it into my parents' bar into a restaurant, and I wanted to stay with the music thing.
Oh, okay.
So you told them what your experience working with these other bands and everything.
Yeah. So one of my friends, I won't say his name, but
there you go.
I can say this now because it's 30 years later. Drove 805's big black Mac all the way to Inlet, and I put my couch and my plants and all my furniture on top of 805's gear, and I moved to Syracuse.
So you used a band van to move your stuff?
No, it was a big black Mac truck.
Oh, it was a Mac truck?
It was 805's big black Mac. That was its name.
Okay.
And I moved to Syracuse, and then...
That's awesome.
Drove down Route 28.
Yep.
That long,
Here
long
I come.
Here comes Patti. And things have never been the same, right?
Right.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
you when you got offered the job, you pretty much just got a place right near the Lost? Right?
I lived with Jill, used to tend bar there on Patterson Street, and
now didn't Six Pack live upstairs? From what I understand.
Yeah, I stayed with him for a while until I ended up getting an apartment across the street.
Okay, so everybody kind of lived right there, right around that area too, right, and everything, and it's like. That's what I heard. That Six lived upstairs.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that?
And I stayed with Six Pack until I got an apartment downstairs from Faithy, which she hated because Harold Mantor and everybody, we'd all go to my house at 2 in the morning, and then when we'd run out of beer at 6 in the morning,
the after parties
we'd
were
go
your
knock
place.
on Faithy's door. Harold will give you $40 for a case of beer.
Oh,
6 pack, whatever you got, you know.
Yeah.
I lived in the basement of that apartment, and I had
awesome.
Joe Lynn Turner eating her at my house. I had so many cool bands
You had Joe Lynn Turner
right across the street. Okay, here's your dinner thing. Let's go. And come across the street, Joe Lynn Turner knocks on the door. Hi, honey, I'm home. I'm like, oh, my God.
Well, you must have just been like, see, that's the stuff I want to ask.
Well, Ingve didn't come. Al actually had to drive him to the taco place.
Well, I heard Axiom pissed off, or Robbo from Axiom pissed off Ingve. That's what I heard.
I don't know.
He said something to him, and Ingve was already kind of a jerk to begin with.
Yeah,
he wasn't. Did he refuse to play the first time he was there?
Well, he was. Well, I asked him at the end of the night after that one gig. I said,
"So he did play."
Why are you such a jerk to your guitar tech? You know, he's got this thing like a dresser. He's opening these doors, pulling out guitars and throwing them at his guitar tech. He goes, "This is my show. I do it my way." Okay, whatever.
Sure.
He's such a that guy I've heard is
but
could be trouble. That's that.
What I was wondering is when you first started, was Scott Sterling already there working? Or?
Scott was working for Decker Audio. Scott and Gene.
So would they get a lot of the
Just
shows
for
there? So they would just.
Scott was working for Decker, but then he bought out. I assume bought out Tommy Decker or whatever.
Okay.
And,
so he was like,
but the Munson brothers did some gigs there, and you know there was other people.
So they just hired him for like a sound man?
Yeah, but Scott. Well, he worked for Decker Audio, but then Scott was like a fixture. Scott was there.
That's it.
Scott was right
like
there.
House guy.
Scott was the sound guy. I did the
Right.
food and the catering and all that.
Oh, okay. So he kind of became.
So Scott's family. Scott's my family.
Yeah. Oh, I love. Yes. Who doesn't love? Who doesn't love those guys? I see old pictures.
Ingve, maybe.
Well, maybe not Ingve.
Yeah.
No. But I don't think Ingve likes too many people. So okay. So. All right, so that's funny. We've already covered, Greg, which is good, because there was like this little crew I want to ask Patti about, like one at a time, but in the first 5 minutes we've already covered. Like,
so Greg owned it. Did he own it
outright, or did he?
Greg's father owned it, and I miss Greg. It was Greg's birthday the other day, and I miss Greg.
Yeah, I saw that.
I miss him. He gave me the best years of my life, and
yeah.
Well, he changed my whole route of my life, man, and he was just a great guy.
He changed mine too.
I was always wondering if he owned it when it was the Yellow Balloon, like that for that far back.
Yeah, his family.
Oh, he did?
Yes,
it was his family, and then he got it, I guess, from his father or whatever, and then okay, all right,
and
So Scott was already working there when you showed up.
Yeah, Scott was with Decker Audio.
Okay.
Right, and Six Pack was there. Obviously, Greg was there at the door. Was Greg at the door still in his chair? Same spot as always?
How about
that same spot? Never moved from that chair?
And Lori, she's since passed away, too, and...
She was a
bartender on the band side. The only one on the band side.
Her, yes, it's been a while. But
our friend Polly, was he there?
Yeah, when did Polly in, I think?
Polly, well, after when I was cocktail waitressing, then I moved up to bartender. When Jill moved away, I did all the catering, the security, and all that stuff for the bands. And there was bouncers, but they worked the door. Jack Kimberly, he's still a great friend of mine. He worked the door, and he was the only bouncer at the end of the night and would pick up bottles. But as far as the stage security and the back door security went, it was me and Polly Silverman. And Polly did the whole thing. Watch the stage, watch the back door. It was just me and Polly, and I just seen him the other night, and I told him.
Do you remember? I know
some
you
of
were just on the drive.
Some of those like hardcore crowds were pretty nasty. Like
me and Polly had it. Yeah, people weren't jerks like they are now.
No, she's right.
I was just like back in the day when everything was fun, the moshing was cool. Nobody even got hurt like that.
I went to a Black Flag show and a Dead Kennedy show, and I never had an incident with even the crowd.
Even the moshing was
people were actually more cordial and nicer. I don't know what it is to this generation now. It's like now they're just
it sort of turned like in the early '90s. I think it was like when college college frat boys got into moshing. They thought
it became a lot more violent.
Yeah, they just I could beat up people.
So you guys never had a problem. You and Paulie could hold it down, huh?
Never.
No, that's awesome.
And if there was a problem, we'd send somebody to the front to get.
Yeah.
But it never lasted. No. Never. It was nothing.
When did Paulie start there? Did he start after you, or was he? Or you don't remember exactly?
I mean, wasn't he a bar back?
I don't even remember the date I started. I don't remember. Paulie was always there. Paulie was just there.
Was he an employee there, or just sort of hung out?
I think they built the building around him.
I know.
I think he was just standing there, and they built it around.
God bless
every
Paulie.
time I was there, I love Paulie. I haven't seen him in a long time.
I just saw him the other night, and
I was going to ask you how
hugged
he was,
him, and
I
I asked him to come today, but he had to work. But
Paulie, I'll tell you. You know what? The funny time, first time I ever met Paulie was we had played our show there, Manslaughter. Played a show, and again, we're teenagers, 17-year-old kids. And I go to the Lost because then it started to become a hangout, because then bands were there I swear to God, if I hung out there once a week, if not up to 3 times a week, every week, even Christmas, Thanksgiving, I didn't take holidays off. I was there 1, 2, 3 times a week for 12 years. So I go back there after our gig, and this weird guy comes up to me. Now, I'd seen him around, but I didn't know who the heck he was. I never was introduced. Nobody introduced me, right? I'm sitting getting a beer at the bar, and he goes, hey. And he's kind of like, he's like the guy in Sesame Street, opening his trench coat going, hey, you want to buy a letter M? He goes, hey, you're in that band, right? You're in a band, right? I go, yeah. And he just came right up to me, got real close to me, the close talker. And I'm like,
close to he is.
No, he got real close, because I was like, who is this dude, And he opens his jacket, and he goes, I recorded your band last week. You want to buy the cassette off me? A copy.
He's going to sell it.
So he's selling our own stuff, but that's what he did. He recorded everybody. So if he wanted, right, and if he must have an archive just like Patti. He must have so much stuff.
And I got most of mine from him, because he recorded all the bands.
And he had his little speaker.
And that's little portable.
Isn't that something? That's the first time I ever met him, and then after, of course, now I see him. I don't see him as much as I used to, but I used to see him everywhere, no matter where.
I never figured out if he worked there or if he was just.
I thought he was just a fan at first.
But then I would see him on security on the stage. Okay, so he's working.
It's funny, we were talking about that too, and I was like, because I did the payroll at the end of the night, and Paulie's like, yeah, but I never got paid for there. Greg threw me $5 or something once in a while, and I'm like,
oh, jeez.
Geez, Paulie, I was right now. You think about it, he wasn't on the payroll. I remember paying, at the end of the night, I paid all the bouncers, all the waitresses, all the bartenders. Never paid Paulie, but I always tipped him. Always.
Oh, that's cool.
Except like the night I'd be working in the back, so I wouldn't have my tips to tip him out of, but everybody took care of Paulie.
Yeah, last time I saw him, he was, it was Westmount Theater.
Paulie just liked being there, because Paulie just enjoyed himself. He didn't care. It wasn't about money for him. It was about...
He just was there. You're right. It's hard.
And he saved so much of that music that none of us would have now if it wasn't for Paulie.
No, that you know what? That's the thing. I mean, think about that for a minute. I mean, it's such a. You hear about these other great clubs across the world, but America, whatever. You hear about the ones in L.A. You hear about New York City venues and stuff and stores you hear. But it's so funny that literally probably about 5 miles from my house, we had the Lost at a time when all this live music was. Not only a lot of it was coming off the East Coast, because you made a lot of relationships with people in like Jersey and Ithaca. We had Pyramid Studios down there recording, like Testament or MOD or SOD and Anthrax, and you had all these people that you would get to meet, but they would all, before they got big, they would stop at the Lost and play there. But not only was the Lost just a great venue for that kind of music, and kind of almost perfectly placed. It was like we were the place in the center of the state that people had to drive the throughway from Boston or from Buffalo to Albany, right? But
exit 35 to throughway.
Yep, that's right. You get off, take Thompson Road to the Lost. But what was so cool about it was, and this is just my own little thing, was the cast of characters there.
Oh, right.
And I mean that in the most lovable way, because they were a little family. There was like you always said, the first thing you see is Greg. And you'd always say hi to him, and he'd always smile. And then you go right to Patti and get a beer. Well, you wouldn't, because you don't drink. No. But I would go to Patti and get a beer. And she'd always know, give me a Budweiser. Boom. I don't drink Bud anymore. But that's all I knew about.
I would see Rags, and he would try to scare me every time I went.
Well, Rags was there a lot, too. But that was a little later on. But you'd see, within 10 seconds, I'd run into Paulie. Within 10 seconds after that, I'd run into Scott. And it was just like, everybody's there. And they were always there. There wasn't a show, I think, I went to that place where you guys weren't all there. And it was so nice. It was so cool. Because there was never any trouble, like Patti said. There was never any issues, And all the people that started coming little by little with their bands all got to know each other. Like just the people who would hang out there, you know. Yeah. So I met.
And after Steve Raganese was there, and Chuck Raganese joined the crew after, you know. And
I remember Jeff Mann joined
cool.
for a while.
Jeff Mann, and Bob and Fran, and
Yep. A lot of those guys, they would come in and out, but yeah, there was always that core group, about 4 or 5 people that were always there. It was great.
So I'm wondering, like, after you doing the bartending, like, how do you get into, like, you know, booking bands and doing more? Is it just like you make connections when the bands show up and get their contact information and stuff like that, or?
Well,
do you remember the first band you booked? Do you remember that by chance?
The first band I booked was Livewire, John Bevilacqua's band.
Oh, no kidding. Would you remember the first national act? The first where you had to get on the phone and negotiate with them?
Oh yes, that was Atlantic Recording Hours. Hurricane Alice.
Hurricane Alice.
Cost me a ton of money to book their gigs, and I had to go around all over the state selling their shirts and.
Oh wow! So you did a lot of.
And Warrior Soul, which they were cool. They were great to work with.
Yep. So when did you start? Did you?
But then after Livewire, that I seen Axiom, and I heard Al, and I'm like, this dude's got it, man. I love Axiom.
You and Al are still best friends.
Darren, friggin' yeah.
35 years later,
I love Al.
You're still buds. He comes over for Thanksgiving all the time and stuff, right? One of these days, I got to get over there when you guys are all there so we can hang out and stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But
so you started booking Axiom?
Yeah.
Right?
So then I did the Axiom thing, and
I know you.
Then
did
I
Sleaze.
started doing Sleez, and then Al got a little mad.
Al got mad at that.
Al got mad because Sleez was drawing a bunch of people, but he walked up to me, he bought me a bottle of champagne, he had a big smile on his face. He said, "Congratulations for the huge crowd you just drew for Sleez. Here's a bottle of champagne. Stick it up your ass, you're fired."
Hey, that's really?
I said, what?
Are you kidding me? That's a great... Al fired you?
Yeah.
Wait till I see him again. I'm going to give him a piece of my mind.
But then...
He gave you a bottle of champagne and told you to stick it up your...
But,
really?
Give him some sheep pizza when you see him.
Sheep pizza, yeah.
Wow.
But anyways, but it was cool. We're still friends. Best friends.
Yeah.
We've been through so much together, and he's just awesome. I love him.
But Al wasn't afraid to speak his mind. He still isn't. But and
that's why I love him.
That's why I love him. He's a sweetheart, and we all love him. So yeah. Well, that's a funny story. I didn't know that happened. That's great.
I'm wondering, like, all these famous bands that come through. I mean, did you ever get like starstruck or overwhelmed, or you just see it so much that you don't care anymore?
At first, I was getting like Henry Paul from the Outlaws autograph, and getting all these people's autographs. Then I was like, okay, now I'm too cool.
So cool, right?
When I first started working there, I was getting everybody's autographs, but now.
Was there ever a moment like when somebody walked in and you just went, "Oh, it's so and so"?
Yeah, but
like Lemmy or something, or anybody big, like real big in
Ace Frehley?
Or Ace Frehley. Yeah, Ace. I mean, come on, that's Ace, man.
I was in the Kiss Army. The Kiss Army in '76, and then in comes Ace.
Wow.
Then Ace, and I already known Todd from Cheap Trick, USA Sam's.
Howarth?
Yeah, Todd was
yeah, that's right.
So then I kind of met him through that, and then John was in Peter Frampton's band. But I met Ace, and we used to go, me and my friend Darlene used to go everywhere, see Ace Frehley, and Ace was like, there's the Syracuse girls.
That's a good impression.
Used to see Ace all over the place.
So
I love him. My best buddy Bill Hatch. My buddy Bill Hatch took me to see him last February. We had a freaking awesome time.
Next time I'm going with you and Hatch.
So Ace was a nice guy to work with?
Oh, yeah, he was wicked cool.
This is when he was partying, though, back then.
I remember sitting at the Albany Hilton there, and he's doing shots of Hennessy and drinking Beck's beer, and I'm doing shots of peppermint schnapps and Bud Light, and I couldn't keep up with them. I'm like, I got a whole list of questions I want to ask him, and I get home the next day, and I wrote down all the answers, and I couldn't read any of them because I couldn't. But that's what I did. I asked the questions and everything, and I wasn't a groupie chick. I was just like, but I remember Todd Howard saying to me, "Patti, look at you. You're all dressed up, and you got your high-top sneakers on." And I'm like, "I like my sneakers." And Todd goes, "They like you, too."
Okay. That's great.
So, yeah.
No, that's awesome. What was, you were going to say, we were
talking... I wanted to say this. So you just mentioned something about Motorhead. I remember being, after Motorhead sound check, it was like, okay, I'm not really into Motorhead. I think I'm going to go Rochester, but darling to see Immaculate Mary after I'm done doing the catering and stuff, right?
No,
so now I'm in the bathroom.
She can blow off Motorhead.
Right.
Now I'm in.
I don't want to deal with these guys.
Yeah, so now I was all,
awesome.
and then did the freaking glam thing. Oh, Immaculate Mary, you know, which
Yeah,
I could
sure.
see anytime at Penny Arcade. No. So now I'm in the freaking ladies' room, and I'm putting my eyeliner on, brushing my teeth, and who's in the sink next to me? There's Filthy, brushing his teeth.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So here,
Beautiful.
me
That's a
and
story
Filthy
right
are
there.
like chatting away in
in
the
the
ladies'
ladies'
room.
His
and
hair's doing the whole crazy
yeah,
hair,
he's brushing his
thing.
teeth, I'm brushing mine, and we're just hanging out.
That's great. That's funny.
So you ended up staying? Did you end up staying? Did Filthy win you over?
Nah, I went to see Meg.
You still left anyways? Ah, that's great.
Yeah, can you believe that?
that's
I
a
got
great
all my
story.
work done. I got all the catering done. I went to see Michael Mary. Go figure.
Oh, that's so funny. Filthy.
Hi,
was one of my
A.D.
favorite.
Zimmer.
So you,
I don't think I ever saw him with
you
Filthy.
took care of the catering for a lot of these bands too, right?
Yes, all of them.
All of them.
You were saying something
That's weird
on the
that
ride
I didn't. I didn't even realize like that. I knew that huge bands had riders, you know, that played arenas, but I didn't realize like Lost Horizon bands would have riders too until I
yeah.
talked to you about
Manslaughter had a rider.
Huge one. Some of them
Beer.
had. Some of them had. Some of them had books. Like
it. It's just weird. And you wouldn't. Would they eat at the Lost, or where would they?
You would
well,
have to go sometimes to buy them groceries and stuff.
oh, I always
right?
had to go get groceries and get like the cheese tray, the deli tray, the veggie tray, that
Right,
kind of
all that
stuff. We had to
stuff,
order
yeah.
in pizza for the roadies at the beginning, and then end of the night stuff. You know, their ice and their beer, the weird things they had on the riders. But a lot of times, Greg would say, "Well, it's cheaper instead of sending them, give them like $12 per diem per person."
Right.
We'll go make some ZD macaroni salad, potato salad. They go to your house across the street. So they,
Wow.
that's Joe Turner sitting in my living room, knocks on the door. Hi, honey, I'm home. And Joe Turner sitting in my living room eating dinner.
Would they usually eat
That's
at the
awesome.
Lost for?
Sometimes it would, but a lot of stuff we bring out to their bus. But then for a while we used Faces next door,
Oh,
which
okay.
is the
Oh, yeah.
Paradise Found,
or
whatever.
But it was like, so they would have go over there to eat and just
But
hang
we
out and
had
stuff? Yeah.
we had that for a dressing room, like
Right.
and.
Oh, okay, that makes sense, because there wasn't a dressing room at the Lost.
No, it was-
that DJ booth, but that really isn't a dressing room, yeah.
Outhouse, whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is.
It's like a 3 foot by 3 foot little room.
Yeah.
Well, the worst, the hardest contract, or the hardest person I ever worked with was John Waite.
Okay. He's from Bad English.
Yes. Well, it's like we had the whole deli tray, the cheese tray, the veggie tray, everything all set up on the bar, and he's got these big like road cases. Like, did he bring in? There were like dressers, like with his wardrobe. He had a wardrobe chick and all this.
He's a singer.
Yeah,
So this
so-
is all clothes?
So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and this girl like ironing and shit. I've never seen this shit. You know,
Ironing clothes.
stuff, sheet pizza.
That's
Oh, yeah, there you go. Sheet pizza.
Sorry.
all right.
So
fine.
so then he's like, I would like a turkey sandwich with lettuce and tomato with a little bit of mayonnaise. I'm like, go
I'm
ahead,
like, buddy,
dude.
it's right there. Help yourself.
Go ahead, everything's
buffet.
all up there. It's all set, good to go. He's like, I would like you to make it. I'm like,
Jeez.
for real? Okay.
All
So
right.
I go up and I make the sandwich, and now I'm like a little annoyed, but I bring him back his sandwich. And he opens up the sandwich, and like that old diner commercial, he takes the sandwich and he goes like this on the side of the table and scrapes the mayonnaise off it. And he
Wipes
says,
the bread off on the table.
Wait, the mayonnaise off of the bread on the
jeez.
table, and he said, make me another one.
Wow.
So I wiped the mayonnaise up, picked the plate up, ran as fast as I could over there, made him another sandwich. Polly, watch the door here. I went next door. I go up to Chuck Cheo and Greg. I'm like, man, you guys, man, I can't do this. I can't do this. Chuck Cheo goes, you can do it. Just do what you got to do. Greg goes, get your ass back over there. Okay. All right.
Oh, man.
I'm like, really? I can't one of you guys just go over there with me for it? No, you got this. You got this, Patty. Okay, so I went back, kissed her ass, or kissed her butt, freaking did whatever I had to do to make them happy, and then
That's a lesson in patience.
that
I
was
guess.
after complaining about the pole and this and that.
You probably
and-
got complaints about the poll from a lot of guys,
yeah,
didn't you?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure you did.
yeah.
But you know what?
But
Without
then
the
you know
pole,
what?
it wasn't
Everybody
lost.
complained about it, but everybody was hanging off it and singing off it
And put their band
loving
stickers on it.
and loving it
And loving it.
They
Yeah, it was
hung
good.
on it. They hung it. They loved it.
Yep.
It was a good prop.
Yeah, it was good because they didn't have to worry about their dancing thing. They could just like hang on that, and
They'd
they're
hang
good.
over the pit,
They're good.
and yeah, they were
good.
I-
Here's another one of my good segues.
Oh, okay.
I remember hearing the Guns N' Roses bootleg that probably Pauly recorded, and the first
Probably did. It's on YouTube now. Yeah.
I put it up there.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, God bless you.
We all thank you.
First thing Axel says when he comes out is nice effing pole. That's the first thing out of his mouth.
That's the first thing Axel says. Nice.
You know what's making this interview really cool for me? Because I can look right up here at Stephen Adler's right above my
he's
head.
high, too.
He's right above my head. So every time I get a little nervous...
over here, too.
Yep, every time I get nervous, I look up. Okay, Stephen, I got it.
I got it.
We're in...
you got your two buds here, Ace and Stephen.
I forgot to mention we're at Angel Lair Studios in Fulton, and... yeah, we got a GNR poster on the ceiling here.
That's awesome. That's cool. I didn't even catch that.
Do you remember when Guns N' Roses played there?
Yeah,
and they weren't popular at all, really.
That was it was Halloween.
Exactly, yes,
Halloween.
I do.
You know why I remember this? Here's my 2 second
Because you were
story.
walking down the street with your guitar when the other band said bunny rabbit?
No, it didn't do with bunny suits. No, that's a different time. No, but for real, this is what I remember. That was great. Okay, nobody knew Guns N' Roses was. Yeah, Appetite just came out. That was good. No, it was Halloween because we had a show, Manslaughter show at Fuco's. It was a Saturday night, I think, Friday or Saturday. And we set up our gear, and the opening band's playing, and one of my friends came over and like, hey, what's going on at the Lost tonight? Because if you were at Fuco's, you would find out what's going on at the Lost and maybe bounce back and forth. Or if you were at the Lost, you go to Fuco's and you go back and forth.
Fuco's was kind of like the Lost Horizon Light.
Yeah, it's junior. It was a little smaller, right, smaller venue, right? But it was the same thing. It was all local bands and live entertainment all the time. And another great owner, Nick Fuco, of course. But so, anyways, Manslaughter's playing Fuco's. Manslaughter's playing Fuco's at Halloween, big Halloween thing. Promoted it, blah blah blah. So someone comes up and goes, "Hey, what's going on at the Lost tonight?" And I said, I don't know, just some hair rock, some a glam rock band from LA is playing there. Mm-hmm. That was my response. I didn't even know their name. No. Come to find out, like 2 months later, Welcome to the Jungle hit, and boom. I was like, wait a minute. Manslaughter was competing with Guns N' Roses that night. Yeah, went across town at the Lost Horizon. And we got a pretty good crowd, actually. But anyways, that's my story. So we played the same night Guns N' Roses came here. And how were they?
I think it was 28 people paid. The rest were just friends. And
28 people paid for. Wow. So we might have beat them that night.
We might have. Wow, Manslaughter drew more than Guns N' Roses. Wow. I like that one.
Well, you know what's really cool about that? Because my son Greg was really young.
That's amazing.
And after sound check, my son Greg was in the backyard playing wiffle ball with Slash and Duff.
Whoa.
That's.
And I'll never forget it.
Do you have a picture of that? Wow.
I have a big, autographed hip parader thing, because they didn't even have promo pictures that they sent.
But did you have, a little disposable camera that you took pictures with? That would be a picture of your son.
No, but Duff and Slash signed a thing, but Slash crunkled it all when he was signing it. The Slash ended up at the end of the night. He ended up sitting in front of the DJ booth with a bottle of Jack, and his eyes were rolling around. He sat in his bed,
passing out.
Yeah, he was sitting on the floor in front of the DJ booth. But I'll tell you, he came back with Slash's Snake Pit, and he was right on point. And they got done playing at midnight, 1 o'clock or something, and he stayed till 3 in the morning and signed every single person in that place.
Wow, that's
autographs for everyone. Sat at the table.
That's awesome.
And didn't leave right till the end. Slash was totally with it when he played with the Snake Pit.
Oh, that's great.
I know you're speaking of the John Waite attitude story, but was Axl difficult to deal with? He's always got that reputation.
No, not at all. Because they were just...
There were nobody.
They were just street kids then, right? They were a brand new band. Nobody knew who they were.
He wasn't cool enough, bitch.
Right. He didn't have enough cachet or enough gravitas.
Yeah, I didn't know if he had the attitude yet.
He was like, did the sound check, left. I don't even know if he went and did the sound check. But he just did the gig and laughed, But
Guns N' Roses played the Lost. Think about that.
They had 28 people paid.
And they paid 28 people. You know what else? You know who else I heard?
No, there was a lot more than that. But most of them, Greg said, "Oh, go ahead and go in."
Yeah. You know what I heard about
because there was nobody there.
Well, that Guns N' Roses show. I have a friend who works at Wegmans. He's been there about 25, 30 years. And he told me a story just recently. He said after the Guns N' Roses show, the night crew for Wegmans on James Street, which is right down Thompson Road, right? They went there. He said the bus pulled in. They were getting some supplies because they were traveling to the next town or whatever. They were getting, whatever.
It was New York City after that.
Oh, really? Okay, so they were loading up. They needed food and drinks and everything else. So they went to Wegmans, the only place open at the time, corner of Thompson and James, right? And this is what the night crew manager said. He goes, a bus pulled in. And it's been confirmed by my buddy at Wegmans because he's worked there forever. And he said that they came into the store. These guys pile up. Imagine that. All leather. Imagine these guys. They're all drunk from 2, 3 in the morning. Playing at the Lost. And they're piling. And they said they got what they had to get. And all the supplies. The road manager's trying to, They're like trying to herd cats. You know, you can't get all cats to go in the same direction at once. So he's trying to get them back on the bus, and they lost Slash. They couldn't find him.
That's funny.
And my buddy goes, so Axel comes in and he's like, "Where is that beeping SOB or mother effer? Where? Come on, we gotta go." And so this is the story. He said Axel asked the one of the dudes working there, a night crew. He goes, "Hey, can I use your speaker, the overhead speaker?"
Yeah.
The guy's like, "Sure, man." He goes, "The night crew guys loved him. They were funny and they were drunk and they were joking around." And so Axel gets on the overhead speaker and goes, "Slash, get your stupid son of a you know what and rear end up here. The bus is leaving in 5 seconds, or you're gonna be walking." So Slash just comes stumbling up the aisle. I was like, "All right, man, you know." And boom, and they got on the bus and left. Isn't that?
You know where you are? You're at Wegmans, baby.
Apparently, Slash didn't know where he was.
That's fantastic.
That's a great story, though. No, but that's true, though. So Slash got lost at Wegmans. Yeah.
That's good. That was a good setup for that joke.
That was perfect. That's good. You know where you are? No, I'm the Wegmans, baby.
I love you both.
Oh, that's great, Patty.
Well, yeah, I never heard that one about Wegmans. That's funny.
I just heard it about a month ago from my buddy. And I'm like, well, I'll use that during the interview here, which would be wonderful.
So something I do have to ask about is when Bon Jovi played the Carrier Dome, they came to the Lost, I think, the night before, right?
Yeah.
See, this is a story this is for Kelly. This is for Brian's wife.
Right.
She's a big Bon Jovi fan.
I think there'd be other Bon Jovi fans out there.
Yes, no, but I'm just saying that I know that I wanted Patty to talk about that too because I know that Kelly's a big fan, and this is a crazy, great story.
Well, she likes Richie a lot. I don't think he was there. But.
Oh, that's true.
Right.
But so how did that story go?
Rich Tempor? Yeah, you should have that picture, dude. I gave them to you.
No, I mean, he didn't come to the Lost that night, did he?
After they played their big show, didn't they pop in and say hi to Greg afterwards? They just kind of hung out.
No, they came the night before they played the Dome.
Oh, the night before.
Night before they.
I think it was just John and Tico, and then some of the guys from Skid Row.
The Skid Row guys, yeah.
Skid Row came too.
Yeah, or whatever. But
so they sort of showed up.
So when I'm sitting there, well, I had a thing going. Oh, if you, we'll give you money off the door if you come to tomorrow night show with the Lost. You know, after the Bon Jovi gig.
Oh, okay.
And
right.
So I'm talking to him. Oh, you know, Axiom Sleaze, this and that, and this and that. John Bon Jovi goes, "I got my own private plane. I fly home after every gig." And I said, "Well, then it's your loss, buddy." And I walked away from and I went down, sat there. It was showcase night. There was like nobody there. And they came back up to me. He's like, "I'm sorry. It must be really hard for you being a woman booking bands and this and that." I go, "No." I go, "Actually, it's pretty easy, you know." And I was like, really? But anyways, then, you know, he apologized. They invited me over. We went to the hotel and hung out with them all night.
Oh, no, that's cool. I knew they popped into the Lost. Now, did they come in because did they play there before and they knew Greg, or did they just? I mean,
yeah, they played there before, but they were looking for something to do on a boring night before they played the Dome.
Oh, they were just looking for something to do, so they popped in there. Okay, but there was
and Skid Row played there before too. So.
Oh, that's right, Skid Row. Okay.
So it was cool.
No, that's cool.
So I think it was John and Tico Torres and Snake and Rachel from Skid Row. We were there.
Yeah, right? I think that's all I have the pictures of.
Yeah,
the four of them, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's awesome.
Imagine being there on the showcase night.
Could you imagine? Like, you're there to showcase night. There's probably 10 people.
Showcase for people.
Jovi and Skid Row comes walking in.
People that don't know, showcase night, it was like for the newer bands
to
try to get their shot right.
Scott would book all the.
So imagine like being a young band that's never played the Lost before. And all of a sudden, John Bon Jovi shows up. You know,
that had to blow their mind.
It's like, jeez,
I couldn't even imagine.
And it also happened with the Replacements. They were playing in Canada, and then they were going to be playing at Darien Lake, like a week later or something like that. Wow. It's the end of the night, showcase night, and all of a sudden, Greg Taylor's like, "Oh my God, there's a tour bus pulling up. Who the heck's this?"
That's awesome. What a job.
All of a sudden, it's the Replacements. We're coming out. Is Patty here? Greg goes, "What the hell are they looking for you for?" I'm like, "They're my friends, man. We hung out, you know, last time I just paid them thousands of dollars last week." I'm like, "Dude, man." So they came in, hung out, we had a good time, but then they were opening up at the fair, they opened up for Tom Petty. So they give me the 2 backstage passes and 2 tickets, and so I'm like, "Come on, pal, let's go. We'll go to." No, that's Chuck's show. Chuck's getting me tickets. I'm not going with you. So now here I'm right up front. But in the meantime, I'm sitting on the Replacements tour bus backstage, hanging out. Got my friend John Mantor, Harold from Alex Star's brother, go with me. Okay. We're sitting there, and all of a sudden I see Stuart Bailey, who was the roadie guy, you know, the wardrobe guy, and everything, gopher for Great White. And I've met Stuart a million times. Well, Stuart's Axl Rose's brother. So then the Replacements say,
"No." Oh,
the Replacements.
No, that's great.
The Replacements.
This is awesome.
The Replacements guy go, Axel's going to sing Free Fallin' with Tom Petty tonight. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, yeah, bullshit pizza. All right? I freaking look out. I'm sitting there on the replacement store bus. We're doing shots. And I look out the window. There's Stuart Bailey, Axel's brother. I go out there. I'm like, dude. Because last time I seen him was at Darien Lake or something. Awesome. And he left he was going to get married the next day. Stuart was. He was working for Great White. He left his necktie there and his passes and everything. So I brought him home to Syracuse with me. But anyway, so I went out there and I'm like, Stuart. Because Great White had played there a lot at the Lost that year.
Right.
Stuart. And I'm like, okay, I guess Axel's really here. So now here I am, like in the 5th row, and Greg's way back there. Told you, Greg, you should.
Wow.
No, Chuck Shaw, he'll be up front. And Tom Petty's Greg's favorite band. I would have loved to have been sitting next to Greg.
Oh,
yeah, I don't even remember hearing about that Axel sang with him.
No.
Free Fallin', dude.
You said the fairgrounds, right?
Yep.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. It was cool.
Oh, that's a great
The
story.
replacements.
The replacements.
You be me for a while, and I'll be you.
That's awesome. Wow. Every story makes me think of something else.
I know.
And
I took notes on the stories to talk
so
about.
many of them,
I know. I keep thinking of more every minute.
Well, there was
That's good.
there was I know you said we were talking about the riders that bands had. Was there one in particular that stood out among others, or?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. I should have brought it with me so I could read it. It was Bang Tango.
Okay.
It's always these odd bands like that you know.
They're not odd.
Well, no, not odd, but I mean, you wouldn't think a Bang Tango would be have a crazy rider. You'd think they just want a pizza. And,
no, this was. I think this was like a joke. It was. I hope it was a joke.
Okay,
I love Mark Knight. He's like wicked awesome guy.
One of those wink, a joke. Let's you can do it.
No.
Let's see how.
No, it definitely was a joke. It said something like, wanted 15 girls under the age of 18 that live.
I think that was a joke.
That live within less than $5 cab ride from the venue, that have knowledge, and that have a high school education, knowledge on religion and politics, etc.
It was a whole conversation.
It was definitely a joke, but
that's funny.
But it was one of the funniest things I ever read. I'm like, what? I'm used to crossing out the extra condoms and this and that on all these band riders and the extra socks and this and that. I cross off everything, you know.
Extra socks.
They call me over the phone. I go through, what do you really need now?
Yeah.
Dude, what do you
Quit
really
pulling my
need?
leg. What do you really
so
want?
I'd cross off, and Greg would be like, yes. Because Greg would he'd do everything.
I just have to wonder how many.
When I took over, he's like, you just save me so much money. Yeah, okay. Give me a raise.
Oh, that's right. That's right, because...
But yeah, I crossed off a lot of the things, but that thing
cool.
on Bang Tango, I looked at that and I was
funny.
like, no, oh my God, I laughed so hard,
How
I'll
many
never
clubs
forget it.
where they got away with that? They actually got that at different clubs, maybe.
Probably not too many.
I don't know.
I don't know. Sleaze always got their case of beer and their pizzas and everything.
So even Sleaze had a rider?
Yeah,
Geez, I gotta get on this with my band.
Of course I'm gonna do that.
The Sweat Hogs will have
See, everybody else gets it. Why can't they get it? You know.
Sweat Hogs want a case of green Kool-Aid and some Hostess Twinkies.
And take out the brown M&Ms. You know.
Take out the right. We never asked for anything. Manslaughter. My band's.
You didn't have to.
Never asked for anything.
You didn't have to because everybody gave you everything.
No, that's true. We did get. I usually drank pretty much for free, but it's. I don't know. You hear about that local bands getting a rider. It's just kind of.
Well, that was out of town, not in town.
Oh, okay.
That was.
So buy your own beer, Jerry.
Like Buffalo and Albany, Slob and Saratoga Winners. He always took care of us.
No, you know what? Whenever we played out of town, because Patti, that's another thing. Patti managed local bands, and she helped us out a lot too. We played like Buffalo, Albany, Rock Coleman's a bunch of times in Rome.
Yeah,
I think right. I love that venue, but they always, and I don't know if you set this up or they were just nice people, but they would always give us stuff backstage.
Case of beer and pizza. Yeah, I did. I do have a. You're right. I do have a
rider. I didn't know we had a rider all these years.
Yeah,
oh my God, I didn't know, but Patti took care of us.
I never
thank
got
you very
pizza.
much, by the way, sweetheart.
You're welcome.
I did no idea you were taking such good care of us.
Jealous. I never got pizza.
We
got beverages. We never got pizza.
You know?
It was sheet pizza.
Oh, it was just it was sheet pizza.
Sheet pizza and Budweiser.
Is that bad, huh?
It was shite pizza. But we didn't care. We just,
There's one story. You were telling John. You were telling me. I don't know if Patti was there about the Danzig story.
Yeah.
I don't know if,
were you working that night? I could tell my quick version real quick. But I heard Danzig was another maybe a tough guy. I'm not sure to work with on your end, but from what I heard, and Monty Esposito tells this story so much better. By the way, shout out to Monty, he's my boy. And Monty's got a million stories. We should have brought him. Next time, if you want to do a part 2, we can bring Monty in because he's got more stories than between Patti and Monty. We could go 10 hours straight. But
Monty and Paulie and Patti.
That's what I'm just saying. These guys, he's met a million people and he's got a million great stories. He tells it better than me. But anyways, there's only maybe 30, 40, 50 people at this Danzig show. So on I believe it was the first tour. So they were fantastic. I was in the center of the pit and there was a couple people in front of me. And
Gina.
Well, of course, Gina was. Oh yeah, you can't. She was probably pulling at his boots, but
or something else.
Or no. So, anyways, apparently this guy Monty knew was there, and he was a little messed up. Let's just say he had been partying a little bit. Okay, so Circus of Power opened the show, and he was kind of goofing around. I want to say effing with Circus of Power a little bit. Well, just whatever he was doing. I don't know. He's right up front by the monitors, screwing around, poking a guy, doing whatever. But they kind of ignore him. Danzig comes on, starts playing some songs. He starts screwing with Danzig. Danzig's right in front of him. Starts pulling the mic cord on him a little bit. He'd come over and he kind of do one of these, ha, look at his buddies, messing with it. He was all effed up. He was really, I don't even know who he was.
Like a bodybuilder kind of guy. He's 4 feet tall, but he's
he's a big guy. Right. He's got an attitude. He doesn't, apparently he he got in a lot of scraps. That's what Monty told me throughout.
He's probably got the Napoleon complex thing.
So, but it's I'm in heaven, right? I'm in heaven. I love Danzig and the Fits and Sam Hain or Samhain as it's properly pronounced. The Misfit, everything.
You said the Fits, so I wanted to just clarify.
Well, for those that don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So anyways, my story's getting longer and longer. So anyways, Danzig had warned the guy. He kind of kicked him off him from pulling the mic cord. And kid did it a couple more times. Thought he was being funny, but he was all screwed up in the head. And he didn't realize that what was going on. All of a sudden, Danzig, during one of the guitar solos, jumps down, takes a leap from, on this kid, lands on him. They both roll around in the pit. And he bumped into me when he was coming, because I didn't even know. I just got my head down, I'm kind of, not headbanging, just kind of bob my head, my eyes are closed, I'm just enjoying the music. And boom, somebody hits me in the right shoulder, and I go flying backwards. I'm like, what the hell was that all about? And I look, and all I see is some little teenage kid, or 20-something-year-old kid, running as fast as he can up the stairs of the pit and out the front door, and Danzig's right behind him, chasing him out the front door. He was going to kick his backside. He was going to pound him. Well, nobody knew what was going on or what led up to it until after. Monty told me, this is what happened prior to him. It wasn't just Danzig being a jerk. He had warned the kid,
because Monty knew the guy, right?
So, but Monty did, Monty knows who the guy is by name. I don't want to name any names. I don't really know the guy, but Monty knows who the guy is. It's kind of like an infamous story of that gig.
I'm just saying that's how Monty knows the story.
That's awesome.
So the best part of the story is, now Danzig's out in the parking lot, runs by Greg and everybody, chases this kid out. This kid must have ran down Thompson Road 100 miles an hour, fearing for his life. He's got this guy dressed in black and a devil lock running down behind him, right? But the coolest part about the whole thing was, he just disappeared. I saw him run. I'm like, well, whatever. The band's still playing. They're playing the solo. They're in the middle of the solo. So as soon as the guitar player, John Christ, hits the last note, he's holding the whole note out. They're going back into the final chorus, Danzig comes shooting over the side of the stage. I don't even know where he came from. Boom, hits the mic. Didn't miss a word or a note. So he chased this kid out. He timed it perfect for the whole solo. He must have went, I've only got about 30 seconds to chase this kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
That's my story. So, did you have anything about? Was there?
Were you there for that one? Or?
Yeah, I was there. I was probably busy,
busy running around
at the back door.
Yeah. That was my little story, because I've never been run into by a rock star before, and he almost knocked me over because he was chasing this kid. It was funny. I loved it.
This is a little later. I don't know if were you still there for the Marilyn Manson incident? Or
no.
You weren't there for that one?
No. Well, I left and then came back for a while, because I left in the other bands around the state, and then came back.
Oh, okay. So did you...
You heard about
Greg sold the place eventually, right? Or... in the mid-'90s or so?
No, they still own it.
Family still owns it?
Must have leased it out.
His nephew John.
Little
John does it.
Yeah,
Mary Sue Greg's sister, son John, runs it now.
What happened with the whole Tundra thing?
Yeah,
I think they might have leased it or something.
They leased it out, and they tried to do a different format of music. And stuff. Like dance music, or some kind of club stuff or something.
But no, John's running it again.
And then I knew it was back in the family again. He was running it again. So
I know the whole music scene has changed.
John's a great guy too. He's real nice guy.
Yeah,
I know the whole music scene has changed, and it probably will never get back to the heydays. What I think of the '80s, you don't get back to that, but it's I think it could still be cool. Have have some new bands, have some old bands come in there. Have like a mixture, and I think it could work pretty well again.
Well, that's what if I could say, that's what I think is cool. What Nick Fugo's doing after what's this 3 years now?
Yeah,
the Nick Stock thing.
Oh, yeah, 4 years.
So I haven't booked bands in a lot of years, but my son does a rap thing.
Okay.
There.
Yeah, you can promote him. What's his name?
Cash Montana.
Cash Montana.
315 Cash.
That's right. That's right.
He's been doing Nick Stock the last 3 years, and
cool. He's
starting to bring a bigger and bigger crowd. He just played Pennsylvania the night before last, and then he went to New York. He's playing all over the place. So, but Nick's nice enough to let him come in and do that, and so it's just like a little bit all different kinds of music, and it's still a lot of fun. It's still Nick Stock.
Cool. Your son's on Facebook if people want to find him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Cash 315.
315 Cash. Yeah.
Now, you named your son after Greg Italiano, didn't you?
Oh no, I didn't know Greg Italiano when
I thought you did because his name's Greg, right?
Yeah, but I had Greg. I had my son Greg. My son Greg's 36, so I knew. I had Greg way before I knew Greg Italiano.
A happy coincidence then, huh? Yeah. No, I did. I thought, because I knew your son was named Greg, and I've known that forever, and I just assumed. I know.
And
I guess I assumed wrong.
And it's funny, my son Greg lives right down the street from the Penny Arcade in Rochester, where we used to book the bands.
Is that still open? Is that still
Yeah, it's still open. It's not the Penny Arcade anymore.
That was a great. Remember, what was it? What was the record store that everyone used to do meet and
House of Guitars.
House of Guitars.
Well, no, House of Guitars, but there was a little one, like Lakeshore Records or Lakeside Records or something.
There's Record Theater on Erie Boulevard. They did some there, too.
No, I'm talking about Rochester.
Yeah, I don't know.
There was a little dump, tiny little place, but like Merciful Fate would go there, and all these I think Megadeth went there, and this little tiny record store, little 45s everywhere, and they would have it before they went.
Remember Andre, Diamond, Tier, and all them guys? I think they had a record. I don't know.
Did they? No, I was just curious if you knew. I didn't know if you booked any shows, a lot of shows down that way.
Yeah, I did. Backstreets, and Penny Arcade. Yeah,
oh, okay.
tons
Well, we
of them.
played at Penny Arcade once because of you, because you got us in there. Yeah.
You didn't play Backstreets? Oh,
I don't think
Backstreets
so.
was huge.
I don't think so.
Way before Billy Fusil. Backstreets was huge.
No,
Paul and John from Backstreets.
Really?
Great people. Oh my God, there were so many cool gigs there.
Cool.
See Ace Frehley, all them bands all played there.
Nice.
So I was going to wrap this up in a minute, but John, do you have any other? I know you had a list of.
Oh,
stuff
you're putting the
ask.
pressure on me. No, give it. Oh, well. Geez, I don't. You know what? Now there's so many. I got a list of just a few of the bands Patty's worked with. Maybe not booked, but worked with, and it's pretty mind blowing. I mean, I could spend probably 15 minutes just running this list down, but,
right, yeah.
But that's why you asked me any last questions. That's kind of hard to. I guess what I was going to ask, being an old metalhead and stuff, because it's just amazing that the level some of these bands are at now that passed through the loss, and she was cool with and friends with and stuff like that. I know the Ithaca Pyramid Studio connection with Alex Perialis and those guys. Did you? How was Anthrax and MOD and SOD and Billy Milano and those kind of that whole New York City Overkill, like those bands that came up from Jersey and New York?
Yeah, that was John and
Testament
bands. Yeah.
Did you get to know or work with any of those guys?
I worked with all of them, not in the studio thing, but at the Loft.
Did you
definitely
become friendly with
Overkill.
anybody?
Oh yeah, Overkill used to play there all the time.
Overkill used to play there every 6 months. I swear to God.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
Did you know what's the difference? Like
Get Christmas cards from Bobby Blitz.
Did you? See, that's great.
There's a difference between I don't know, the attitude of New York bands instead of LA bands. Was one nicer to work with or anything? Or?
No.
They were all about the same.
Some cool and some weren't. You know,
yeah.
some just not. They were too cool, and some were just really
down to earth, and some were.
Yeah, because we're all we're not New York City, but we're all New York, so we're kind of got the same kind of attitude as New York City. So you'd think we'd get along with them better, maybe. Or
it's not like the rappers, East Coast, West Coast thing. No. As far as the metalheads and stuff, it was like everybody. They pretty much got along.
So
a lot of the West Coast.
They weren't more
played
divas,
with the East Coast.
So I'm stereotyping a little. Where the New York City band's a little more, kind of like street and tough guys.
That's what I meant. Like if LA, we're more prima donnas or something.
I never noticed the difference in them. No.
Actually, I thought of a question. Actually, I don't know, both of you guys, whoever knows, what happened to the pole?
It wasn't a casket where the old phone booth used to be. I don't know where the hell it is.
Okay.
I'll tell you what I heard. Yes, it was when they took it down. They put it in a casket with a plexiglass top. So
probably in the basement.
So you could pay your final respects to the pole.
That was kind of funny. I remember
it was back by the ladies' room. I remember that.
Early '90s or something.
The last time I went in there, so when Say That played there, I went in there when this band played there, that art show, and they had these ugly lights on the wall, and I'm like, I said, dude, what happened to them flame, like, torch lights? He said, they're in the
Those old
basement.
cheesy with the
I'm like,
cobwebs on it.
I want them, you know?
Yeah, those
and
are
then
cool.
I put them up in my house.
That's
He's like, they're in the basement, ask John. So I got to ask John. And it's
You get,
like
I would love to have one of those. That's a great like keepsake from the lost.
Yeah.
Because they never dusted them. They were always like cobwebby
You
and
go
stuff.
down in the basement to get them.
So
and
the,
probably run across the pole.
See, this is what I heard. Now, again, I don't know if it's true, but I heard it. But the pole was put in the casket, and then it was put downstairs in the basement.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
But I heard that when they were revamping the Lost during either the Tundra years or I forget, during that changeover there when it went from
32 degrees.
32 degrees, yeah, Club 32, so whatever it was, that there were some construction workers there, people in there working, fixing the place up, whether it was the plumbing or whatever it was, and it got accidentally tossed. I'm thinking it was just junk.
I know. I'll ask John.
But maybe I could be completely wrong about that. That's just one of those rumors you hear that all the Lost got tossed out in the trash by mistake. I'm like, what? How could the pole? The Lost. All right, I need some more coffee, or I need a drink. I need a beer or something. What do you say?
I don't know, how could they think a big metal pole was trash? I don't know how they...
Well, that's what I mean. It's
what
in the ground, right?
The casket with the glass over the top? No.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny.
Isn't that funny? You go
I
to
bet
the
you
Lost.
Scott has it.
Well, I hope it is still around somewhere, because that is like... that's just
with all the stickers still on it and stuff.
Wasn't it funny? You go to the
Suicidal
Lost.
Tendencies, Axiom stickers. Yeah, I remember them.
Isn't that funny? You go to the Lost, you got a casket with a pole in it. Then you go to Fuco's, and you got a casket with a Fuco in it.
No!
I missed.
Didn't Alice Cooper thing? Didn't he have his own?
Okay.
No, I didn't mean
as long as he can jump out of the casket.
That's what I'm saying.
He still does that.
All places have caskets.
The cold Ethel band, yeah.
The cold Ethel.
I should have had my sound effects on.
No, Nick still comes out of the casket.
Right, he still brings it with him.
Still does the electric chair.
That's awesome. Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
I remember, actually,
I love
we did that at Fuco's. There wasn't a backstage area to get ready. So you're hanging out, and you would see him walk and get in the casket and lay down.
Because there's no place to hide him.
Then when the show starts,
that's what the practice scenes are for.
To kind of hide him a little bit, right?
Yeah. It's like he just burst out. I just saw him go in there.
It's like, you're not supposed to look over there.
No,
it's like, divert your attention the other way.
Yeah, Nick's flying in Wednesday. I'll see Nick Wednesday.
Well,
excellent.
Thank you, Patti, for coming by.
Oh, thank you so
stories.
much. I had such a great time.
It wasn't that tough, was it, Patti? Once we got talking?
No,
it wasn't too bad. We could talk for probably 3 more hours.
We will.
Yeah, I got to come hang out with you soon. With no microphones, just hanging out.
Right.
We'll take a break, and then we'll be back. And I'm going to play a song by Sleez, so maybe Patti can help me.
Patti's old bands.
Help me with some Sleez stories in a minute. I'll be right back.
The Lost Horizon continues to bring you the best in live entertainment. Tomorrow night, it's a 95X Club concert with Ace Frehley. Tickets are available now at Cabbages, Ben Cannon Shopping Town, and the Lost Horizon. Doors open tomorrow at 7. Special guest White Lion will open the show at 8:30. Then at 10, it's Ace Frehley. Coming next Monday, it's the Lords of the New Church. But tomorrow night, don't miss a 95X Club concert with Ace Frehley at the boss of live entertainment, the Lost Horizon, Erie Boulevard East and Thompson Road.
Welcome back to the Syracuse Nostalgia Podcast. We're on episode 8, coming to you here from Angel Lair Studios in Fulton. You can find them on Facebook if you want to get your band recorded or podcast recorded or any other recording needs. This is the segment where we play an old song from a local band. This is a band that Patti managed back in the day from the band Sleez, Sleez, right?
Yes, Sleez.
They did the glam thing pretty well. They had
they had that locked down real good.
With the spiked up hair.
Have you seen the first Poison album?
Yeah,
that's those guys.
Well,
yeah.
I've seen some
over the top, but they were great guys. They had a really fun stage presence, and became really good friends with the singer Jerry. I knew the other guys too, but Jerry was my dude, and he, from what I understand, Sleaze broke up because he had an offer to join my band, Rectalich, at the time, with Al Axiom and Bill Johnson, who's still active. These guys are all still active, playing music, and the famous and infamous Bubba, who now lives in Oklahoma. But unfortunately, Bubba won't come home and have a reunion with us, and Jerry's in Florida now. But anyhow, yes, it was a good time. Those guys knew what they were doing.
I didn't know
Jerry Shadd. It was Jerry Shadd, Dan Boring, Shay Rodriguez, and Stacy Charlton, right? Charlton, yes, I got that right. It's been a while since I've seen these guys. So.
Is that Dan's name or a description?
No, Dan's anything but boring.
That's his name.
That's his name. Yeah.
All right, just checking.
He's actually, these guys, they were all great guys.
But I remember
a lot of fun hanging
I was
with
just in high school at the time, and even the girls my age liked this band. Like flyers got passed around. I'm like, who are these guys?
Yeah, Patty mentioned to me one time that there'd be a group of girls that follow them even when they played out of town. So these guys were a local band, but they had like their own set of girl, if you want to call them groupies, follow them to wherever they were playing, Buffalo or Albany or whatever. And so that's not bad for a local band, you know. I wish I had that problem.
Well, I gotta say, the one thing that annoyed me about them, which is something that's one of my stupid rules, and that's nothing wrong with them, but the drummer played sideways. It used to bother the hell out of me.
Oh, it's like Striper thing, right? It's like the Striper
thing.
thing.
Why are you facing that way? The crowd is that way. It bugged the hell out of me.
He probably had his reasons, but I don't know.
I think he's just trying to be like the Striper.
That's just your little pet peeve?
Yeah, my pet peeve. But anyway, this song is by Sleez. We're thinking around 89, probably it came out.
Late 80s, I'm thinking. Something like that. 80,
it's called Hands in the Cookie Jar. Thank you for listening to the Syracuse Nostalgia Podcast, Episode 8. Thanks to John and Patty.
Thank you.
Joining.
Thanks. That was fun.
Yeah, I had fun. I liked all the stories.
I could talk for days. You know me.
It's not easy being sleazy.
No. Yeah. I love you, Patty. Thanks for coming and doing this with us. I know this was,
dude.
You know, it's but the story's got to be told. As far
Patty was a big part of the Lost Horizon. I'm glad, thank you for coming by.
One last thing.
So appreciate you thinking of me.
One last thing. Can I had to tell Patty this. I'm glad I remember this. I want to tell you, you still to this day, you make my all-time favorite Alabama Slammers. I used to, boy, I'll tell you, I don't want to get too far into it, but Patti makes the best Alabama slammers in the world. So, anyways, thank you for all those blurry nights at the Lost Horizon, Patti.
Thank you.
So much fun.
Thank you for being there with me through the whole thing, and thanks for being here with me today.
Yeah.
Couldn't have done it without you, Bone.
Well, thanks, Patti. I love you. You know that.
So, John, we mentioned, was in Manslaughter back then. They played a long time at the Lost and had a lot of history there, too. Thanks to everybody who listened. And I do all this Syracuse Nostalgia stuff for free, the website and the podcast and everything. So if you want to help me out, there's ads on the page. You click on the ads. I also sell T-shirts from local places like Pencan Mall and Switz's and all that stuff. If you want to buy them, you can go to the website. I sell some DVDs. And
I have a lot of Manslaughter cassettes left over that we bought, if anybody wants them.
John has Manslaughter piss tapes.
I'll pay you to take them off my
There, yeah, if you want to make some money, you can take
make some money. Come grab a half a dozen Manslaughter cassettes.
And
Still
again,
got the wrapper on it. So.
I'll bring them to Nick's stock.
There you go.
And again, thanks to Zadok for at Angel Lair Studios.
Thank you, Zadok.
Yes.
Thank you, Zadok.
We will see you next time on the Syracuse Nostalgia Podcast.